welcome everyone. It is me, Nina Saacks, and I am excited and delighted and very happy and thrilled to be chatting with Sharni Quinn today. Sharni, I think our craft paths must have crossed in the mid-late kind of 2000s. I think you started your whole yoga journey around 2007. I think I started Yoga Awakening Africa around 2008, and you kind of like were doing Follow the Sun then, which I hear is now being sold off, and you're kind of like getting into corporate wellness, and then all of a sudden you disappeared and you were living in Bali. And by the sounds of things, you kind of like have made your way back to Cape Town and are somewhat settling there. So for those who don't really know you yet, do you want to kind of like introduce yourself and maybe just share a little bit like why Bali, why back, and yeah, what are we up to now?
Great. Thanks so much, Nina. And it's so wonderful to be here with you and talk to you today. So I really, really appreciate it. And I've done so many podcasts recently, and it's so wonderful to talk to somebody in South Africa who has a South African audience that I can really connect with. Who I'm like, I know you guys, I recognize, and I feel like, yeah, just being back and being back in Cape Town has been so magical. It's been a few months now, so just like getting into the whole different lifestyle again. But yeah, our journey has been a long one. We've crossed paths over many years in the whole yoga community and yoga industry, and it's so lovely to reconnect with you. But yeah, so my wellness journey started and when I did my first teacher's training 2007. And I then went through my own burnout. It was really due to my ex-husband and marriage and that all falling apart and me, burning out completely. That was very much an emotional burnout. And so I went on my first, just disappeared because I'd moved down to Cape Town originally at that time, was living in Joburg, and went on my own personal follow the sun journey, I called it. And I disappeared for 9 months. I went to India. I was like, I just want to go to India. I want to disappear to an ashram and just go and live this yoga journey because I was teaching at the time. And I was like, I need to focus on myself, and took myself off to India for 2 months. Then I went to Bali for the first time over a month. And then I was in Australia for 6 months. And when I was in Australia, I actually watched this premiere of this movie, and it was Eat, Pray, Love. And I literally was sitting there watching Julia Roberts and going, she's living my life. And I'd just done all of that. So I was there at that time in 2010. And wow, what a journey to just book of myself off for 9 months and just focus on my own healing. So yeah, that was my follow the sun journey. I only wanted sunny countries and beautiful experiences. And then I came back to Cape Town, and then I was already working in the yoga industry, but I really started my own company then called Follow the Sun. And that was a women's wellness company focusing mainly on the yoga classes, which I was teaching then in collaboration with Wellness Warehouse on Cliff Street. And I started doing retreats to Bali, and then we were doing retreats to Sri Lanka, and then I was doing my life coaching, and I had a whole team. It was really expanded. Yeah. Landed up having a team of like 40 yoga angels, and I think it was 20 yoga angels, 10 coaching angels, a whole, office and rooms and studio. And it was amazing and really making a difference in so many people's lives. So for me, it just felt so rich and successful and was beautiful. But that's when I had my second burnout journey. So burnout experience. And I'd say that was around 2017 or so. And yeah, so I'd been working on my yoga business for so many years and just burned myself out completely. I think at that time I actually had 2, maybe 3 different companies. So I was just doing way too much.
Mm.
And once again, focusing on everybody else and not focusing on myself, which was the biggest lesson that I learned. And so when I was on my one retreat, a Bali retreat in 2018, I just didn't come home. I was like, I'm going to stay here.
Love it. This feels good. This feels right. I'm hanging out here. Not bad.
I'm not going anywhere. And broke up with the boyfriend I was with. And yeah, I had my team kind of following up with things when I left. But in the end, that's when I sold the company. So that's when I sold Follow the Sun. And I sold it to a woman who was on my last retreat. So it worked out really well. So it
Fantastic.
was just so beautiful. And I mean, that was end of 2018. And then I put everything online because then I was in Bali. So thank goodness. I literally launched all my online stuff in 2019, end of 2019. And that was when COVID happened in 2020. So just felt like I was really supported by my angels in this whole process. But yeah, the healing journey from the second burnout was really intense. And I landed up doing my own burnout recovery program over 3 months. And for a full year, I was off social media. I taken myself off emails, and I just focused once again on my own healing. And it just was this pattern that I was, working hard, burning out, then having to recover and take myself off to an island to disappear for a year to recover. So I really had to look at what that was and why I was, going through these cycles, and what I could shift and change going forward. So that was a big decision for me, and to then decide I'm going to relocate to Bali, and that will be home. And see how that all unfolds. And so that's where I was. And so I was in Bali for 5 years, which is just so incredible. And there during the whole COVID experience, which was beautiful, we just got to travel around all the islands and no tourists around. So it was the best version of Bali.
We had the same here in Mozambique. We kind of like, we were having the best time because all the hotels were having good specials. They weren't like crazy expensive. We could get there. There was no one else around. So everyone was struggling in COVID, and now like, well, we had a good time.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad you did too. And so, yeah, after that experience, then Bali started opening up again. And then I was just going through, like, reassessing things, because by that stage, my healing cycle or process had completed. So I felt really well, and I felt healthy, and I felt strong. And I felt like it was time to really give back, to my community, which is here in South Africa. So all the lessons that I've learned and all the trainings that I've done while I was there and all the experiences that I had, I just really wanted to now bring back to Africa. And I mean, that sounds amazing, but it was also very much coming back for my family and my niece and nephew are growing up. My parents were getting older, coming back for love, because I was like, oh no, I can't find any love in Bali. So let's come back with some South African men. And so it was a very conscious decision. And I had, like, I work a lot with the cycles of nature, and I'd had an astrology reading with one of my healers, and he had said by June in 2023, you're going to be at Bali. And I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. I can't believe it. And I literally we did this beautiful ceremony on the winter solstice. I hadn't had winter in 7 years by that stage. I literally hadn't been less than 25 degrees. And so I thought, what a beautiful time to move. And so winter solstice, did a ceremony with all my friends, said goodbye, and flew back to Cape Town in the middle of winter.
Oh, shock to the system.
Such a shock to the system. But you know what? I loved it. I came back. I had all these clothes that I hadn't worn in 7 years. So it felt like Christmas again. And that's when I started writing the book. So and that was a beautiful experience, just how that all manifested. But I did a lot of writing in winter, and then we launched it all in October. And yeah, here I am still in Cape Town and doing this beautiful dance between being based in Cape Town again, but also traveling to Bali and running my retreats there, regularly every year, and still very much in tune and in touch with the island. And yeah, then getting back here and then doing what I need to do, Cape Town and South Africa side. And the aim this year is to really be traveling internationally and doing a lot more talks, facilities, workshops, keynote speaking, especially for corporates, and really spreading the message. Like, for me, it's really about spreading that message of how to stress less and live more. And that's what my purpose is. And that's what I'm really passionate about.
I can hear it in your voice. I absolutely love it. And there's so many things I want to unpack in what, like, you were just speaking about and saying, and I really do want to get to chatting about your book as well. So I think where I want to start quickly is, you were chatting about burnout. Like, the first burnout that you had was emotional, and emotional burnout. I'm assuming that maybe with everything that was going on with building Follow the Sun, when your second burnout happened, that was more of a physical one. Like, or maybe not, I don't know. I'll let you speak to it. But like, what is the difference? What have you noticed between like an emotional burnout and a physical burnout? Is there a difference? Because I think, sorry, I'm going to go on quickly, because there are so many women out there who I think can like relate to exactly what you're saying, you know, the stay-at-home mom, or the mom who's, you know, at home and she's working, or she wants to start up her business and she's, you know, lots happening, or she's the, you know, corporate exec and she's trying to balance, you know, things that are happening. So I think this idea of burnout and overdoing is so relevant. I don't actually think there's one woman in my life that I know that maybe hasn't been in that space. So I thought maybe let's just chat about like, what's the difference between physical burnout and emotional burnout? Because I think that's quite helpful to understand if there is a difference, or I would at least like to know.
Yes, well, you're so correct, though, is that my second burnout was more physical and mental, and just being so much in my head. And it was literally because I was doing so much and managing all these teams. And that's why I can really speak to like the corporate woman and the women that are trying to do it all, you know, the ones that, and I'm not a mother, so I don't know what it's like having children, but I have coached a lot of women that are moms, and I see my friends and my sister-in-law trying to handle the little kiddies. So whether you're a mom or whether you're a corporate lady, I just find women nowadays are having to be it all and do it all. And we put so much pressure on ourselves to try and be the best, you know, housewife, well, not even the housewife, but the best mom, the best career lady, the best at everything that we do. And to me, there was a difference between the emotional burnout and the mental and the physical burnout. And even though, so the symptoms were the same.
Okay.
And you can go onto my website, and I've got a blog up there around my burnout recovery journey. And I go into a lot of detail on what I was feeling, how I was feeling, what I did to heal. And so I really want to just share this information with, you know, any woman who needs support. And a lot of it was, the symptoms that I had was I just felt dizzy all the time. I actually felt nauseous. Like, you know, when you have that seasickness kind of feeling, like that's how ill I felt. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. I couldn't stand up without feeling like I'm going to faint. I mean, I literally was going to yoga classes and spending the whole time in child's pose or in shavasana because I couldn't handle one sun salute, which is very unlike me. So it was so intense. It really affected me physically. So whether it was emotional or a mental or physical burnout, the physical symptoms were all the same, and they were intense. And yeah, depression, crying all the time, super emotional, just feeling overwhelmed, not being able to handle anything. I couldn't be on my computer or my phone for more than 5 minutes without feeling like I was going to be sick. I couldn't walk up a hill without feeling like I was going to actually faint and pass out. So I couldn't do any exercise. Like, it was so unlike my normal life before that. And you just feel so drained and so depleted. And at that time, I'd actually been diagnosed with chronic fatigue and hypothyroidism and IBS. So it literally affected my energy levels, it affected my stomach, and it affected my thyroid. And you know, people get diagnosed with different things because doctors don't really know how to diagnose burnout, and it'll come up as different symptoms. But yeah, in effect, the same symptoms, but it was different things that were causing it. So my first burnout was really around emotional stress and drain. And my ex-husband was diagnosed with bipolar. So we went through that whole journey of his healing journey and trying to get him into a good space and put him on the right meds. And that was like a 1.5 year journey of trying to get him on the right medication. And it was quite a time in our lives. And so that was me then. And then the second time was all very much around the being busy and doing too much. And so my big journey was around figuring out what can I do to stop this pattern. And the biggest thing I learned is that it's my limiting beliefs that were making me get to that point. And so for every woman, no matter how busy you are, no matter how much is going on in your life, it really is about looking at what is causing me to be in this space? Like, what is draining my energy? What is sucking me dry? Because essentially that's what it is that your whole life force and your prana is just being sucked out of you. And so what is causing that? And then why am I letting myself let that happen? Because so often we say we're burning out, but we're always looking at the external environment and going, I'm burning out because I'm working too hard, or I'm burning out because of the kid situation, or, you know, all these things that I've got happening in my life. But why are we saying yes to that? So of course, if you've got kids, you want to give them the best life and look after them, but you don't have to be on every single PTA, you know, or every single WhatsApp group, or, you know, it's the same with corporates. Yes, we want to do the best job we can, but it's also about managing your time and focusing on what's important to you. And so that was a big lesson. And my limiting belief was that I believe that I have to be busy to be successful. So it was a whole thing of, if I'm not busy, then you know, if I'm just living a really awesome life and lying on the beach, like I'm not really that successful. I have to work hard for it. So that was like what I've learned from my parents. And I've just realized that's not true. So I've switched that around. So it really is looking at what your limiting beliefs are that are causing you to get to burnout in the first place.
And do you think that's a big part of why women struggle to know what their purpose or their passion is in life? Because they have these limiting beliefs and they think that they have to be in a certain way, but they've never actually gone within to find out like what their own inner purpose is. And is that kind of how the book came about? I don't know. It's kind of like, again, I'm pulling in little threads here from kind of like what is making sense in my head, but let me know your thoughts.
No, I love it. I love the way you're weaving it all together. So yes, for me, I mean, so this book called Ignite Your Purpose just came along at the most perfect time. And it's a collaboration book. So I'm one of the collaborating authors. There's a few of us, mainly American and Canadian authors. So it was really wonderful to be the South African representative in the book. And yeah, it was just really exciting because we launched it in October 2023, and within 24 hours it was a really best-selling book in 6 different countries. So in the UK and the US and Canada, France, Germany, and Australia, which was just amazing.
Big
So
fantastic.
Thank you. To get that exposure and to get the story out there is just so powerful. And so my story is really about letting go of being Superwoman. And because that is the whole story that I'm working on with my clients all the time, and where I see women are at. It's like we need to release this whole idea of trying to be Superwoman. And it is very much that message on, you can do anything you want, you just can't do it all at the same time.
And so it kind of like seems like it's making sure that you know what your priorities are and why certain things are your priorities by the sounds of things. Because like you're saying, you can do everything, but you need to prioritize like what is important right now. And I think maybe that is quite helpful in, like you're saying, stepping into purpose.
But I think what's so scary with regards to purpose is that so many people feel this pressure of, I have to be living my purpose and I have to know what it is, and trying to discover it just seems like it feels like this huge big process and project. And what I said in my version of my story is very much around, your purpose isn't what you do, it's who you are.
Oh, I love that.
And what I also say is that your purpose goes through different seasons, especially for women, because we're not going to have one person purpose a whole lifetime, because sometimes you're going to be a mother, you know, that's your priority, that's your purpose at that time. At other times, you're going to be focusing more on maybe setting up your business. That's your priority, that's your purpose at that time. And so knowing that our purpose has different seasons and that it is just who we are, essentially, is so, so, so powerful. So yeah, that's very much what my story is all about in the book.
Oh, I love that. And it makes it so much more fluid, and it kind of like just feels like this weight is like released off your shoulders when you realize that it's not like this one thing that you have to do for the rest of your life. So I've got to get it right, because if I don't get it right, I'm going to, you know, screw up. I'm going to be screwed. So when you realize that actually it is fluid and you morph from one to the other, and as you grow and evolve, and as you release those limiting beliefs, which we all have, and, you know, I suppose, you know, as we do this work, we always pick up that there is another limiting belief hidden there somewhere that is all of a sudden like attached to us, be it like from parents or society or, coaches or mentors that we've had. Like there's always something. And when we realize that those aren't part of us and we can release them, I think it's just a journey. And I love that you say that, it's a season, or that it's seasonal in a sense, that it's morphing and changing. And so with that said, you're doing lots of work now in Cape Town, and you were saying before we were chatting that you've got a couple of workshops and retreats and day events happening as well. So I thought, now that's all connected to your book as well that has come out. So do you want to speak a little bit to like how that's operating, how you're doing that, what that's about, and if people want to join, like why should they join and who's it for? Because I think, like you're saying, like a lot of our audience, or this audience is at least in Africa, hence Yoga Awakening Africa. Most of the audience is in Cape Town. So I'm sure they're going to just want to love getting a little bit of your energy and connecting with you and just finding out more about your book and what you're up to.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. And so great to be able to share all this, this info with everybody and see who shows up. And I'm always around, contact me if you have any questions, or, I'm always happy to connect. So people can connect with me on Instagram or WhatsApp or email and just ask what the latest events are that are coming up. But I've teamed up with a new event space or studio space called Lighthouse Holistic, which is on Bree Street. So it's right in the middle of town, but it's on the rooftop, and you just get these epic, gorgeous views of the city. And there's a swimming pool, and it's all very chilled and relaxed. It's really, really stunning. So I'm putting in regular workshops and things there. And actually this week I've got one called Hands-on Hatha, and it's a healing yoga session where it's a 2-hour immersion where we're doing a beautiful hatha yoga class, and I'm doing a lot of healing touch. And at the end, we'll have like more yin, and it's, getting everyone to slow down and getting more in tune in their body. And I'll do some Reiki on people. So it's just a really nurturing, real nurturing session. So that's the one thing I've got on. And I'll be doing this quite often throughout the year. And then, then we're doing a mini retreat called Live on Purpose. So that's obviously very much related to the book. And I'll have some copies of my physical book that people can purchase and be part of as well. But that's very much around, we'll do a yoga class, and then we'll have a 2-hour workshop and group coaching, where we'll go through, really digging deep into what is your purpose, why, what is your why, all these things, all these big questions that everyone's always asking. So we do that. And then at the end, it's a lovely time to swim in the pool, have some snacks, connect with all these beautiful, like-minded women that are going to be there. So it's very much doing these beautiful events and bringing all these people together so that we can also connect. And I feel like COVID was such a time, well, obviously, of disconnection and only being able to connect online. And I mean, most of my work now is with clients that I work with overseas online on my 3-month coaching program. But that's why I'm back, I'm here. I want to reconnect with my tribe that was back here in Cape Town. So doing all these great events that they can come and join in, and it's really affordable, for South Africans. And then I've also got a retreat that I'm doing in Bali called Live Your Best Life. Yay. So that's going to be in June in 2024, and I'll run that every year. So, and I'm doing that in collaboration with the Yoga Barn, because that's where I work when I'm there, and an incredible space. And and then we go to the island, and we have a little bit of like rice field moments in time as well. And so it's really spectacular. Yoga in the morning, a workshop, and then some kind of cultural activity or fun. And then, my ladies, normally it's like yoga in the morning, cocktails at night. That's how they like to do the retreats. More relaxed.
I love it. So Sharni, I've got a question, because I think it's so important. I think like when we step on this yoga wheel, for, some of us have been on here for a while, some are like just entering yoga now, so it doesn't really matter where. But I think like as soon as you kind of get into yoga, you realize that it's not just kind of like going to a physical yoga class. Like there's always this growth on personal development, personal growth. We're always looking for more and doing more. And so what is your take on delving into personal work, personal growth and evolution? Because it now sounds like you're not just teaching a yoga class, it's like you're doing this plus a workshop. So I have an inkling that like you can't actually do the one without the other.
Definitely. And I mean, to me, yoga is about personal development because, I mean, the word yoga is all about union, and it's about bringing your body, mind, and soul together. And if we're not in alignment, then it's all fine doing the physical work. But if you're not living your authentic life, then you're going to just fall apart anyway. So, like, it's all, and it's so great that you asked me that question because I forget that not everybody realizes that doing a physical yoga class is going to probably inspire you to learn more about yourself and to go on this personal development path. I mean, I've been doing it for more than half my life, so I forget that that's not actually everybody's, in their awareness.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, why not? Why not learn more about? And this is my whole message about living your purpose and igniting your purpose is about being more you. Yeah, like that's what your purpose is. Like, be more yourself. That's where your superpower is, especially for women. If we can tap into more of our feminine energy and not try and like be men and be strong and be all of that stuff that is just draining us essentially. Tap more into our feminine essence, tap more into who we are, what drives us, what inspires us, what our gifts are in the world. Then that's when you know yourself so well, and that's when you can have really good and clear boundaries. Like I know for myself, so I work a lot, as I was saying, cycles of nature. So my menstrual cycle is really important, and it's like it's in my diary and it's highlighted in purple, and I know, and I take like 3 to 4 days off of the month, and I don't book anything in during that time. And I was chatting to a friend of mine who works; she's been working at Investec for the last 15 years. And she's actually written an article on menstrual cycles and things for women in the workplace. And so I was like, this is a message that needs to get out there. This is where women, can feel supported because we have a cycle, not demonized because of it. And so really like learning how to work with that space and learning how to work with ourselves more. And so it is hugely this whole personal development experience of learning more about you, and that's where the coaching comes in for me and the yoga. So it's a whole blend of everything and everything that I've learned in Bali and all the trainings I've done there. It's definitely, I had met with some friends recently this weekend and hadn't seen one of these ladies for years. And she introduced me to her son as Sharni's a yoga teacher. And I just thought, oh my word, I'm so sure that. It's like, yeah, and many other things, but yes. So like people in Cape Town who knew me as Father the Sun only knew me as a yoga teacher. And, obviously so much has happened since then. And for me, it's about blending it all together and having a fun day together where we can have a mini retreat or a 7-day retreat in Bali and share all this information and these tools and practical things on how women can implement this into their lives and really live this life that they deserve and that their dream life, because it's not just for me or you or select for you. It really is for anybody that takes that time to focus on themselves. And yeah, I mean, I know obviously I was blessed that I could just, well, it wasn't even a question for me though. I just needed to disappear to that island and heal. So everyone was like, oh, you were so courageous. It's like, no, not really. It was like survival. That's what it was. And I needed to get out of the busyness of the city and everyone knowing me here and in Cape Town and just having like so much responsibility and pressure. So I needed to go to an island where nobody really knew me. And then, of course, after a few months or years, then I knew everybody. So I had to then go off to Gilead, to another small island to natural time. Anyway, but yeah, it's this ongoing process of learning more about ourselves, implementing it into the world, and then getting feedback, and then diving into that personal development space, that yoga space, and that it's all actually one beautiful space of awareness and awakening and consciousness.
And so they're kind of like two things that I wanted to bring up. One is, it's by the sounds of things, it's like, that there's always more to learn about ourselves. Like we're all on this personal development course, a growth path. And it's really important to possibly work with a coach. So if it's someone like you or someone like me or someone else out there who's out there, like just find someone who you resonate with, who speaks your language, who speaks your energy, who speaks your vibe, and let them guide you. Because like you were saying, you've gone through the whole process. You've done the burnout. You've taken time out and know like the healing process that you need. And why reinvent the wheel and figure that all out for yourself if you already know that someone's done that and can lead you, hold your hand, guide you through that? So instead of it taking 9 months, maybe it can just take a month or two, and then you can get on with, like, you know, following your purpose. So with that said, I know that you've also got, I wrote it down here, my life makeover PDF for people. It's like you were saying, a little bit of a checklist. So do you want to just touch on that to give people a bit of an insight as to, like, you know, if they can't extract themselves from their life right now and go live in Bali for the next 5 years, or head somewhere because they've got family commitments or work commitments, but there is something you can do right now. So do you want to maybe just tap into that and let people know what that's all about?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. And I actually always get asked that question, going, okay, but not everyone can go and disappear off into an island. So what does the general public do if they're feeling burnt out? You know, can't all go live in Bali. And so that's why I've created all the content that I have to really support women on their journey. And I've got this checklist. So it's called My Life Makeover Checklist. And it's easy to access on my website. So sharniquinn.com/checklist. And essentially what I go through there is the 5 different steps that make up my full Redesign Your Life program. And actually in the book, I share the 5 action steps. And I'm so happy to share that now with you, if you don't mind, Nina, because it'll give a little bit more insight.
Awesome.
Cool. So essentially, it's the 5-step path of living yinli. And this is what I had a breakthrough aha moment on my supboard on an island off Bali, Gili area, like floating around the ocean for 2 hours on my own. It was so magical. And I literally got this whole download that just literally like entered into me. That's how it felt. And all these things that I've done for so many years, and all the things that I'd studied, and I'd just done a yin yoga teacher's training, and it all just fell into place. And I was like, oh my word, this is the program that I need to be putting out there into the world. So it was just beautifully aligned. And essentially the 5 steps, and this is what I share and I teach the ladies, and in my checklist I give some more detail here, but essentially the first step is about letting go. So we can't move on, and we can't be living our best life if we're hanging on to stuff that's still draining our energy and that's bringing us down. So it's like, let go of what is no longer serving you. And of course, that's much easier said than done. But yeah, letting go. Step number 2 is recharge. So that is all about self-care, coming back to recharging our nervous system, our body, mind, and soul, and slowing down, really tuning in with ourselves, getting in touch with our intuition again, and stopping all the craziness and the busyness, and just, yeah, recharging our batteries, essentially. And then step number 3 is envision. So envision is all about envisioning your best life. You know, what does it look like? And very much focusing on what is your purpose? Who are you? How do you present yourself in the world? But you can't even do that if you're feeling burnt out and if you haven't let go yet and you haven't recharged. So it all definitely comes in order. So this is definitely step number 3. And that's very much focused on your work and career and your purpose as well. And then step number 4 is flourish. So that's all about relationships and how to really build amazing connections with other people as well as yourself. And then the last step, number 5, is manifesting abundance. And that is all about being able to bring abundance into your life, being able to really manifest that, and shifting our money mindsets as well. But then also, how can we give back? You know, how can we make an impact in the world? And once again, we can't do that if we're feeling burnt out and stressed out and frazzled. So it's going through all these step-by-step this whole process of, you know, redesigning your life and looking at the 5-step path here of living yinli. And so the checklist is then giving a few practical steps on how to do each one of those. And it literally is, okay, do this, have you done that, clean out your wallet or whatever, like simple practical things in the checklist. And it's a few pages. It's super easy to download and to integrate into your life. So I would love to share that. And yeah, and then we'll stay connected, because then you'll be getting regular emails from me, but not too often, just some inspiration that I share. And we'll always be connected with what I'm doing, events, coaching programs, and everything else as well. But the checklist is a great way to start this process. And as you said, if you can't be doing a 3-month coaching program, then you can at least start there and then see where that takes you. And that can help support, so many people as well.
Yeah. You're not going to believe this. So when I was writing this down, and I haven't had access, haven't gotten your checklist yet. I haven't read your book yet. And so you're probably going to laugh with this, but with my groups, that was at what I do, I kind of like have 6 core competencies. The first one I've called Simplify Your Life, and that's all about declutter. It's all about letting go.
Yes.
The second one I've called Restore Your Rhythm, which is all about your habits. And like, this is, it really couldn't have been orchestrated any better. The third, I've squeezed in a third one in there, which is a little different, and it's kind of like illuminate your potential. So kind of like getting to know yourself, because I like to work with Ayurveda and the dosha. So it's kind of like, really understanding yourself and your strengths. Your number 3, envision. I've got like ignite your I can't think of it now, but it's all about visioning, doing your vision board, that kind of thing. The 5th one, which is your 4th one, which you've called Flourish, and relationships, I've called Connect Deeply, because it's all about connection with self, connection with others. And the final one is where you've got like Manifest Abundance. Mine is like Express Freedom. So like, what is freedom for you? And so I love how like it is just, you've got to go through that process. So like, get the PDF download, because it just makes sense. Like if you're talking about it and I'm talking about it, and this is what makes sense to us and our clients, like, yeah. So anyway, I just had to share that with you, because I literally had goosebumps when you were going through that.
Well, I've got goosebumps now. That's amazing. And it's so incredible, because I mean, you've done so much beautiful work, especially, well, I mean, you've been in the industry for also forever. And, you've done this beautiful work with Ayurveda. And for me, it's the same. It was like bringing all the modalities of everything that I've learned in the last 20 years of my professional life and my personal experience, and what has worked. And then how can I put it into my own kind of puzzle pieces and process. And that's exactly what you've done. And I love that we've come up with something that is so similar and so aligned with what the steps are and the progression of it all. So it's so beautiful. And I can understand you've probably taken from so many different beautiful modalities that have really inspired you and created your own thing. So yeah, we clearly aligned, but this is the message that needs to get out there. So yes.
Exactly,
well
exactly. And it is, like you're saying, it is just so empowering, especially for those women who are struggling, who just feel that they actually can't unplug. Like you're saying, like your bio, I'm just going to read, like, inspiring women to unplug from the daily hustle and redesign their life for the better. Like, that's what you're about. And it's kind of like, that is what we all need to do, is just unplug for a moment and like just get on a new path in a better direction that's going to be more aligned with keeping you healthy and happy, so that you don't feel like trudging through like mud, and that everything is an effort. Like, you probably have days like me, like, where you just, feeling blah, and, we all have those. But when you have kind of, I think, that broader vision, you just realize that, oh, you know what, maybe it's just a certain day on my cycle, and that's why my energy is a little low. And we have that understanding.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then compassion for ourselves. And then it's like, that living my best life means that I'm going to actually just work in bed today. And I'm so totally okay with that. And I don't feel like answering anyone's messages. Like, that's what living my best life is today. So I think it's really important for women to know that it's not all just about being out there and being amazing and, showing up like we do on Instagram and, just showing the best side of ourselves. That's not it. living your best life is really about what works for you now in this moment. And that's very, very different. But if you're in tune with that, then you can have that compassion for yourself and not be, berating yourself or being mean to yourself, going like, why don't I have the energy? And that person's so much thinner than I am. Why can't I get energy to exercise? And so it's really this whole language of loving ourselves again. And how do we do that? And we've got to start with ourselves first, because think like if you're not in the space where you are feeling good for yourself and you're not loving yourself, and then what are you teaching your children? And how is this affecting your team at work? And like, you need to show up in such a beautiful, authentic way and just be you. But having learned more about who you are and how to really work with what happens when life just throws us a really terrible spin. And it does. I mean, life just really happens all of the time.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we handle that? How do we then work with that? How do we not let it affect our energy and our, not drain us completely, so it absolutely flatten? So it's this whole process of like, how do we bounce back faster, but in a way that's not, oh, because I'm Superwoman and I can do this, but more because, oh, I'm really nurturing myself and I have the energy to give back again now. So it's looking at it in such a different way. And I would love to actually read the first paragraph of the book, of my chapter, because this kind of explains what my story is about. And I have the book here.
Oh, and I love the cover as well.
Oh, it's just beautiful, isn't it? Love it. So we had to give a quote. So my quote is, bring more yin to your yang so you can stress less, live more, and design your best life. I feel like that's a really important one to share. So my wish for you is to unplug, to slow down, to let go, to tune in, and to open up to living your best life. I believe that every person is meant to shine and share their light without burning out. When you unplug from the daily hustle, redesign your life, and live aligned with your truth and inner wisdom, it's truly effortless, magical, and rewarding. I've learned that your purpose has seasons and is not what you do, but who you are. The more you know yourself, the easier it is to live in alignment, and your purpose will evolve as you do. I'm your biggest cheerleader, here to support your purposeful journey of creating a life that you love.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Summarized so lovely. You've got such a beautiful way of an eloquent way of saying it. So kind of like, as we wrap up, Sharni, what does a day in your life look like? Like a typical Sharni day. Like what is that? Is
Wow.
it even
Okay.
a typical Sharni day?
It changes depending. I do like to try and have routine though. It is good for me. So like, I have my 9 to 5 work, that's my work time. And then weekends I'm offline. I don't want to answer phones or emails or Instagram accounts, whatever. So it's important to have like 9 to 5 structure for me. But I literally wake up. I don't have set my alarm. So I wake up whenever my body is ready to wake up, which in Cape Town is an interesting time because of the hours and the time difference and, the seasons. But and then I decide what kind of yoga my body needs on this day. So is it something more energetic, more relaxing? And I'll normally go to one of the sessions that I need. So now that I'm in Cape Town, I'm getting used to the different schedules though, so I can book beforehand, but I always check in with myself first to see if that's what I need or not. So yeah, very much like tuning in, and then I'll wake up and I'll do my meditation. So meditation is a non-negotiable, 20 minutes of TM meditation every day. And I'll do some self-Reiki and so a little bit of my morning routine. And then, then it starts with the workday. So jump onto my email, see what's happening, connect with people, book, some events and all sorts of things. And the last few years, it's been a lot of computer time though, because I have been creating a lot of content. I've got all my online courses and got like a Burnout to Bliss mini course. And so all of that has been filmed and edited, and I did all of that myself. So that took a lot of time to put together, and obviously writing the book and, a lot of content creation, but that's all done now. And so now it really is about more connecting with people and sharing, what I do. And then I'll often like have a coaching call, and that's online with the client. Coaching clients now are just so beautiful because a lot of them are also overseas. So connecting with women in Saudi Arabia and France and New York, and learning more about them, being able to support them. So I feel so supercharged after those sessions. And then I might have a podcast or something that I'm doing, or a talk that I can do virtually, which I can do online as well. And yeah, then either yoga in the afternoon just to break up my day. And normally during the week, it's then, either connecting with the yoga friends, or my partner will go for dinner, or, just staying at home and spending time with folks and the family. Or otherwise I'll be, weekends, it's more than out and about and socializing and going to all these beautiful conscious events and dancing. I love dancing. So, get me to an ecstatic dance somewhere amazing, or some kind of conscious festival. Or it's me just totally resting on the weekend and not seeing anyone, and going to the beach if I can, and disconnecting completely. So yeah, it just depends on how I feel. But yeah, that's kind of like and in Bali was very similar. It was just a different space.
And so tell me, because you were saying when you had Follow the Sun, you had 20, 40 people working with you, and you're saying now you're like a sole work, like it's just you. So is it just you, or have you got a team that is supporting you along with what you're doing? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had Follow the Sun, which was big, and I decided I don't want to ever do that again. It's not who I am. Other people are good at managing, and that's what they do. It's not my thing, which is what I learned. So for me, it's important. I've got a VA who helps with a whole lot of like social and scheduling, and I've got a web guy who's in the Philippines. I can just contact him. He gets things done. So I've got people that I need help with regards to technical stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I've got business coaches and speaking coaches, and so I'm often online with them. But otherwise, it's all me behind the scenes. I've kept my business now very streamlined and very simple. And I want a whole lot of people to manage, and really doing too much. So keeping it very focused, and a lot of it is sustainable as well, so it is online. And then this year focusing a lot more on corporate wellness. So going in and doing keynote speaking events, for especially Women's Day. Love to do some talk to ladies at at these beautiful conferences, and I'll be doing that internationally as well. So that'll be a lot of travel. So that's why my life needs to be simple and easy and flexible, so that I can just flit off and go to America for a conference for 3 days and come back and recover for another week afterwards. So yeah. Life very simple, very easy, and not stress free, because it never is that, but like as little stress as possible. So yeah, that's just how I've created my life now.
Awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. Sharni, thank you so much for being here and for chatting with me and to all those listeners. And I'll be sure to put like your website, your Instagram, your Facebook, all those details below. But I'm sure if anyone just Googles Sharni Quinn, you'll pop up very easily and quickly. So thank you. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll do another one of these sometime soon, because this has been so much fun.
Well, there's so much to talk about over the years of us being in the industry. And yeah, it is really beautiful to be able to share, what's happening in my life right now, and how I'm kind of back in Africa and really want to integrate again, and, connect with teaching yoga in the townships again, and, doing all these things that I was doing before. So I'm very excited to be back, and very grateful to be on your show now and have this beautiful interview. So thank you, Nina, for sharing this with your audience. And yeah, anyone can get hold of me. You can find me on Instagram. On my website is all my links and stuff under my contact page. So email, WhatsApp, I'm around and would love to connect. I'm always so happy to hear from people. So please send a message. And
I know, I was
if you want to
like,
get a copy of the book, I'm also happy to do that.
should I try Sharni? Would she be willing to do this? Because she's this like big international star now. Like, will she speak to me? And I'm like, you came back and you're like, yeah, sure, no problem. It's just hectic at the moment. This is in January. I'm like, cool. You're like, you're so easy to chat to, and you're so accessible. So thank you so much for being you, and for making it possible.
No, I love it. I love it. And I don't see myself like that at all. So like I get a bit of a shock, like, what do you mean? And so, yeah, I am actually, but like I'm still like, I want to connect with everybody. So yeah, I'm very happy to speak to everybody, and would love to see you guys in a workshop soon, or a mini retreat, or even over in Bali. Nina, I think you need to come on my Bali retreat and see you there in June.
Yeah, yeah, there are things in process. I can't reveal them just yet online, but there are things happening.
That's exciting. I look forward to seeing, yeah, and following more of your journey now as well. But thank you so much for connecting, and thanks for having me, yeah, here today.
So welcome. You're so welcome.